For the second time in less than 3 months, a federal court has told Donald Trump that his tariffs are illegal. The first time, it was the Supreme Court of the United States striking down his most sweeping emergency tariffs. This time, a specialized federal trade court struck down the replacement tariffs he imposed after that Supreme Court loss. In less than 24 hours on Thursday, May 7th, the Trump administration lost 2 separate significant court rulings, exposing a pattern of executive overreach that federal judges across the ideological spectrum are now consistently rejecting. The tariff case alone carries consequences that touch every American business, every consumer, and every state in the country, and the legal road ahead for the administration's trade agenda is now more uncertain than at any point since Trump took office. To understand what happened on Thursday, you need to understand how we got here, because the May 7th ruling did not happen in a vacuum. It is the second chapter in a legal saga that has been unfolding since Trump's second term began. When Trump returned to the White House in January 2025, tariffs were the centerpiece of his economic vision. He imposed sweeping global import taxes under a law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, commonly known as IEEPA. These were the most aggressive tariffs the United States had imposed since the 1930s, covering trillions of dollars in imported goods. American businesses and importers immediately began challenging them in court. In February 2026, the Supreme Court of the United States issued a landmark ruling striking down those IEEPA tariffs as illegal, concluding that the administration had exceeded the authority granted by that law. The decision sent shockwaves through the White House and left the administration scrambling to find a legal foundation to continue its trade policy. Trump's legal team moved fast. Within weeks of the Supreme Court ruling, the administration pivoted to a different legal authority, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. That law, passed in the aftermath of President Richard Nixon's aggressive tariff actions in the early 1970s, allows the president to impose global tariffs of up to 15% for a period of up to 150 days, but only under a specific condition. The law requires that the United States be suffering what it describes as large and serious balance of payments deficits, a term with a precise economic meaning rooted in the international monetary system that existed before 1973, when the United States was tied to the Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system and committed to exchanging gold for dollars at a fixed rate. Under that system, a balance of payments deficit was a specific and measurable crisis condition. The Trump administration argued that a modern trade deficit, meaning the United States imports more goods than it exports, is essentially the same thing as a balance of payments deficit under the law. The court said it is not. In a 2-to-1 ruling, the United States Court of International Trade found that the administration's presidential proclamation imposing the 10% global tariff failed to satisfy the conditions required by Section 122. The majority opinion was written by Chief Judge Mark Barnett and joined by Judge Claire Kelly, both appointed by President Obama. The dissent was written by Judge Timothy Stansu, who argued the majority erred procedurally. The court's core finding was precise and devastating for the administration's legal position. The term balance of payments deficit, as Congress understood it when it wrote Section 122 in 1974, referred to a specific kind of international monetary imbalance rooted in the now defunct Bretton Woods system, not to the kind of trade deficit that exists in today's floating exchange rate world. Congress, the majority explained, was aware of the differences in the words it chose, and a trade deficit is not the same as a balance of payments deficit under the statute. The court also noted that accepting the administration's expansive reading of the law would raise serious constitutional questions about whether Congress had improperly delegated tariff-setting power to the president, and ruled that when a narrower reading is available that avoids constitutional problems, that reading must prevail. The ruling granted summary judgment in favor of the three plaintiffs: Burlap and Barrel, a New York-based online spice retailer; Basic Fun, a toy company based in Florida; and the state of Washington. The court ordered that the administration stop collecting Section 122 tariffs from the plaintiffs and refund their prior payments. Several other states that had joined the lawsuit were dismissed from it because they had not paid any Section 122 tariffs directly. Critically, the ruling as written applies only to the named plaintiffs, not to every American business that has been paying these tariffs since they went into effect in February. But legal experts said the logic of the ruling makes it nearly impossible for the administration to defend those tariffs in any subsequent case, and that additional lawsuits from other businesses are virtually certain if the government continues collecting them from non-plaintiffs. The financial scale of what is at stake here is staggering. New Census Bureau data released just one day before Thursday's ruling showed that American businesses paid approximately $8 billion in Section 122 tariffs in March 2026 alone, the first full month those tariffs were in effect, and that is on top of an already crushing tariff burden. According to data compiled by Trade Partnership Worldwide, total presidential tariffs paid by American businesses since March 2025 have now reached $283 billion, including $166 billion collected under the IEEPA tariffs the Supreme Court already ruled illegal. State by state, the numbers are enormous. Texas businesses have paid $30 billion in total tariffs since March 2025. Michigan has paid $19 billion. Georgia has paid $17 billion. Florida, Ohio, and Tennessee have each paid between $9 and $10 billion. These are not abstract numbers on a government ledger. They are costs paid by real businesses, passed along to real consumers in the form of higher prices on imported goods, ranging from food and clothing to electronics and industrial components. The administration's response to Thursday's ruling followed a now familiar pattern. Trump told reporters that nothing surprises me with the courts and that the administration will simply do it a different way. He blamed the ruling on what he called two radical left judges, referring to the Obama-appointed majority. White House officials said the administration intends to appeal quickly and will seek a stay of the ruling pending appeal. If the stay is granted, the injunction protecting the named plaintiffs would be paused while the case moves to the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, with potential further review at the Supreme Court. Legal analysts noted that the administration does have a fallback plan: two active investigations under Section 301 of the Trade Act, a law that allows the government to target unfair trade practices by specific countries. Section 301 actions are legally more durable than IEEPA or Section 122 because they involve months of investigation, public comment periods, and a more established legal process. But they take time, and they are country-specific rather than global, meaning they cannot replicate the universal scope of the tariffs the administration has been trying to impose. The second major court loss in those same 24 hours came on a completely separate front. A federal judge ruled that the Department of Government Efficiency, the entity led by Elon Musk operating under the Doge banner, did not have the authority to cancel grants issued by the National Endowment for the Arts. The ruling was the latest in a series of judicial decisions limiting Doge's ability to unilaterally terminate federal programs, contracts, and grants without statutory authority. Together, the two rulings on Thursday painted a picture of an administration whose strategy of asserting broad, unchecked executive authority across multiple domains, trade policy, federal spending, and agency control, is running into a consistent wall of judicial resistance. What the cumulative legal record now shows is a pattern that goes beyond any individual ruling. The Supreme Court struck down IEEPA tariffs as illegal. The Court of International Trade struck down Section 122 tariffs as illegal. Multiple federal courts have blocked Doge from unilaterally cutting federal programs. Courts have blocked the administration's effort to end birthright citizenship. Courts have blocked the federalization and deployment of the National Guard in Illinois. Courts have protected military retirees from politically motivated retaliation. In case after case, across every major area of domestic policy, federal judges appointed by both Republican and Democratic presidents have looked at the legal arguments the Trump administration is making and concluded they do not hold up under scrutiny. The broader significance of Thursday's tariff ruling, beyond its immediate legal effect, is what it reveals about the administration's governing philosophy and its consequences for American businesses and consumers. When companies import goods and pay tariffs, those costs do not disappear. They are either absorbed as losses, reducing business investment and employment, or they are passed along to consumers in the form of higher prices. $283 billion in tariff payments since March 2025 represents $283 billion extracted from the American private sector, much of it under legal authorities that courts have now twice ruled were never valid. The question of whether and how those businesses get refunded is one that legal experts and trade attorneys describe as enormously complicated, and the answer will take years to resolve even under the best circumstances. The American public deserves a clear and honest accounting of what has happened here. The administration's trade policy, which was sold as a tool for bringing manufacturing back to America, protecting workers, and generating revenue to reduce the national debt, has now been ruled illegal by two separate federal courts in the space of 3 months. The businesses that paid those tariffs are left fighting in court for refunds that may take years to materialize. The consumers who paid higher prices because of those tariffs will never be made whole. And the administration's response is to blame the judges, promise to find a different way, and appeal. That is not a trade policy. It is a legal strategy of exhaustion, forcing businesses, courts, and consumers to absorb the costs of an approach to executive power that the judiciary keeps ruling was never authorized by law. The courts have now spoken twice on this issue at the highest levels. The question is whether the administration will find a third approach that holds up to legal scrutiny, or whether American businesses and consumers will spend the rest of Trump's term paying the price for a trade war built on legal foundations that federal judges keep declaring never existed.